Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from beautiful, how do you say this? Where we are? Wiesenthal, Austria, way up in the Austrian Alps. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and my co-host, and very attached to this microphone, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Austria.
Thank you.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much, Raghunath. Good
Why don't you
morning.
explain what's going on here?
We just wrapped up our Italy retreat, and that was really one of the just an absolutely delightful time, wasn't it? I mean, every single person on that retreat was special.
Mm-hmm. It was a really special retreat, and now we are in another little sort of undercover retreat. We can't mention it's top secret, but some of our favorite people in the world are here, and we're up in the Austrian Alps. This is like the Davos of the Hare Krishna movement here. You know how they have those secret meetings up in the
A little bit like that.
a little bit like that, right? Yeah, and we stayed up late. Me and Tarun watched The Sound of Music because every American has to sing that when they're in the Alps. I'm still singing. I tell you, The Sound of Music, if you haven't watched it, watch it. You'll cry, you'll laugh, you'll be angry, you'll be filled with joy. You'll smile, you'll sing together. We went for a bike ride today. Me and Tarun just sang those songs all day.
Well, it's very beautiful like that where we are. It's like it's pristine here, right? We're at a beautiful lake, and there's the Alps, the mountains are there, and the air is fresh, and you can swim in the water. You can drink the water.
You can drink the water. You can drink the water right out of the lake, I think. There are a lot of fish in that lake too. Careful what you drink, or else you're gonna get one caught in your throat.
Okay, but let's get into it, Raghunath. Do we have any announcements today, Mara?
We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today at 1 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it. Bhakti Recovery Group did great in Italy too. We're doing live Bhakti Recovery Group, and people, it really changed them, really inspired them.
It was big. It was practically most people were taking it. Most people there on the retreat were attending those meetings.
There's going to be a BRG retreat at Super Soul Farm. Matter of fact, you can check my LinkedIn. What is it called? Linktree profile on my Instagram. But it's I think it's the next step of like the Hare Krishna movement. I feel like the Bhakti movement is you dig into your stuff, because sometimes our stuff keeps us from moving forward in our spiritual life. We say it's a very easy process, right? All you got to do is chant. Well, that's hard to do if you've got these samskaras based on abandonment or trauma or stuff like that, because then we bring this stuff from our past and we march it right into our future. So we can't trust people, or we hold resentments for people, or it's easy to quickly fly off the handle.
We feel unworthy.
There's a lack of self-worth as well, and that it keeps us from doing the simple. So it's a great, valuable thing that we see that everybody in the BRG is doing, and we appreciate Jiva for coming out to this retreat.
I really think that what they're doing with the Bhakti Recovery Group is just a way of facilitating what we're meant to do in our tradition anyway,
Right.
which is Rupa Goswami defines these 6 loving exchanges between devotees.
Sure.
And very interesting, right? You offer prasad, you offer, food cooked with devotion to one person, the other person accepts it.
Yeah.
That's 2.
Give me some food.
I'll hook you up a little later.
I'll accept it.
And then you also offer gifts to someone and you accept gifts. So that's 4.
Give me a gift.
Okay. That's it. I'll hook you up too. You took care of me yesterday. Raghunath's been very generous. I've been noticing, he's like, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for this.
I never get to serve you. Whenever I go to New York.
Yeah, when I go to your house, you don't feed me. So you're making up right now.
Kostuba is like the most regulated guy. My life's not regulated. It's just like all over the place. I'm driving here. I'm picking up kids there. I'm doing something here. Kostuba sits down at the exact same time.
Exaggerating.
Hey, he gets the
my wife
appropriate meals. Not too much, not too little. And usually with me, if I find something good, I'm like, more. He's like, nope, that's enough. I've never met a person as regulated as this guy.
No.
So when he comes to my house, he's like, it's almost like, he's like, okay, what's for breakfast? I was like, we don't eat breakfast. We don't eat He's like, I'm very simple. I'm a Brahmin. I need very little. I was like, oh, what are we going to get? We got to make some porridge or something.
I once said that my staying at your place, I could have wrote a Cro-Mag song about it because I'm struggling for survival. Those that know will know. But the last 2 loving exchanges are opening your heart to another person or revealing your mind in confidence. That's exactly what the 12-step programs are. You need a space where you need someone you can trust or some people you can trust where you can actually say what's going on. And when you speak it, I don't know so much about all this stuff, but what they say is it's not even that someone has to respond. They just have to listen. And people just need to get it off of their chest.
Right.
And it seems like that is somehow very important for people to speak, and to have it heard. And you can kind of let go of a lot through that process.
Grabbing your wrist. Instead of cutting you off now, I'm just going to grab your wrist. Yeah, there's something to be said about being around a group of people, trusted people, or even 1 or 2 trusted people where you share and you take turns sharing, because what's going to happen is you're going to realize you're not the only person in this world going through things. If you don't share it with anyone, you start to realize like everyone seems fine. I've been scrolling through their Instagrams. They seem happy, but you're only seeing the highlight reel of their existence. You're not seeing real social media, which is like, I overate again. I'm attached. I want to smoke a cigarette. I really wish I could smoke a cigarette. I'm going to sneak one, or just whatever. I lost my cool at my kids. No one's posting the picture of that. So what we tend to do is we think, well, I've got issues. Everyone else seems quite fine. And that creates even a more like type of psychosis where you think everyone's fine. I'm a wreck. And then you start to share. You feel like I can trust these people. They're not going to just gossip and make fun of me. I can trust them. I'm going to empty my cup. And they start to empty their cup and you realize, oh, okay, wow, they're struggling too. And it's interesting because in the material world, I find my worth by taking everybody out. And then I find my power. And so when you hear some dirt on people, you share the dirt with other people. That's called gossip. In that sacred container, you hear the dirt and you hold it. And you hold it so they can fully empty their cup. And in turn, they give you the grace to empty your cup. And otherwise, it just gets compacted, like compound interest of issues. And it manifests in some horrible way.
So then when do you fill the cup? Is that like you empty that stuff and then you fill it with like hearing and chanting and all that?
Well, in our Bhakti yoga system and also in the 12th step is you go back and you extend your hand to others who are suffering. And in Bhakti yoga, there's so much ways we fill our cup. We fill our cup with just the joyful association.
But it's hard to fill it when it's full of all this other stuff, all these other feelings, thoughts, anxieties, regrets.
Exactly, because then you can't really have those sweet, loving connections with other devotees because you're untrusting, or there's some self-loathing which manifests in some lashing out at other people.
It's interesting that in this book Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami, who's like practically the most important teacher in our lineage, or it's a short little concise book, and he puts that in there, that it's essential. And it's the way that one bhakti yogi shares love with another is by opening up their mind, opening up their heart, revealing what's going on in confidence.
In confidence.
And then the other one was just hearing it in confidence, that this is, it's not just some external thing that's separate from our tradition, that's like kind of not the real thing, or kind of lovey-dovey, off track kind of thing. But no, it's like it's a very essential part of the thing. So they've been having wonderful results. People really, it's making a huge difference in people's lives.
It is. And it's very easy in a spiritual institution or church or social club, etc., to present one way, especially when they're really into sort of like, pure devotional service and pure bhakti and all this stuff, to present as pure. And then everybody else is presenting as pure. And then we have maybe a second side that you don't want to share because you have to present as pure. And therefore you have your public life and a whole secondary private life. And that is a recipe for disaster in existence in this world.
It's artificial. Then nothing's gonna,
and things crack, and things become discovered later, or things come out in a horrible way. So it's a very, very balanced way. It's a new age of bhakti, and it's so wonderful to see this culture growing and this society growing in so many different ways.
Bhakti Recovery Group. I think bhaktirecoverygroup.com, right? You can go there and find out more. Okay, you ready to dive in?
I'm ready to take a dip in the cool alpine pond of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
What about the nugget?
And the nugget first.
Who's our nugget from today?
This nugget is from one of your favorite musicians and ours, LL Cool J. Just kidding. Ludwig van Beethoven. Where I got that from. Don't only practice your art.
Hold it. Slow down. Ludwig van Beethoven.
Say that name slow.
Ludwig.
Slow that down.
Ludwig van Beethoven.
Okay.
What did he have to say? Tell me.
I don't know. Don't only practice your art, but force your way into its secrets. Art deserves that, for it and knowledge can raise man to the divine. Don't only practice your art, but force your way into its secrets. Art deserves that, for it and knowledge can raise man to the divine. I've got an interesting take on this, but let me hear yours first.
First, there's one term here that's a little maybe inconsistent with our bhakti practice, but in general, I like this a lot. He's saying, in other words, so he's speaking to an artist. He's saying, don't just practice your art, but understand that beyond the surface of that, there's something far deeper in there. And so many artists may never penetrate into that, right? Many may just say, I'm an artist now. He's saying, no. He says you have to force your way into its secrets. There's stuff there that the people on the surface aren't accessing. It's going to take the more determined person, right, to kind of get there. He says the word force. When it comes to bhakti, I don't think you can exactly force your way, and we're going to read about that today. But the idea is that as a bhakti yogi, one really has to have a determination to say, I must go deeper. I must go deeper. I must practically at every stage, I must let go of more. I must seek deeper association, to be inspired and to be to have access to these deeper levels of it. So he's saying, don't only practice your art. You could say, don't only practice bhakti. Okay, I chant a certain number of rounds, I attend certain programs. You could practice bhakti almost like as a religious person. Like, okay, I go to church on Sunday. I have certain people that I associate with. I follow certain regulations in my life. That's all fine. But then you have to become determined to go to the deeper and deeper and deeper levels of it for it to become truly spiritual, for it to become really transformational. So that's how I was kind of seeing this. Don't only practice your art, don't only practice bhakti, but be determined to find your way into its secrets. right? Be determined to become transformed in such a way where you have access to the deeper secrets that are there in bhakti. Sometimes they're open secrets, but you just don't realize them or feel them. They're waiting there for someone that's determined, who's eager to go deeper, someone who's determined to go deeper. And then he says, for that and knowledge can raise man to the divine, right? Then we know Krishna, then we feel Krishna in our life, then that relationship becomes alive, rather than just I'm a member of a certain religious group. You know, that's how I was reading it.
You know, I took this in a slightly different direction. When there is, the 13th chapter talks about the banyan tree of material existence. We have very crude behaviors in the material world.
I think that's 15th chapter.
15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you.
Please continue.
Is the 15th chapter? Okay. Thank you. Corrected by the live audience. It's embarrassing.
No, it's quite all right.
It's good for me to be humble.
I should have just let it go.
It's all right. I live to be corrected in front of 10,000 people. Thank you. Anyway, so we have these very crude things of the material world, obvious things, but there is like a mystery with the arts. It could be the arts of knitting. We have a Nitya Siddhi right here. Then we have, say, someone like Ananta Govindu's here. He's like truly probably one of the better, if not the best, kirtan leader in the world right now.
And also illustrator, painter.
And illustrator, painter, photographer. But there's people who are world-class, world-class photographers, world-class, these people who do these free climbing up mountains. They're like really like refined arts, like Gordon Ryan in jujitsu, or people who are like next level boxers, or they're almost like they're taking the material world. There's like this myth that if you keep pushing this art to the next level, you'll find God. And this is where I think it's actually a dead end. And I get overwhelmed and impressed with people who can do these like ultra marathons. They're not doing like a triathlon. They're doing a triathlon like 6 days in a row. It's like unbelievable, next level. A handful of people do these things, or these people were scaling. What was that movie? The guy scaled the mountain, just free soul. He's just climbing the mountain. He's got no straps, no belts, no nothing. There was a guy who did that. Mary just read that to me in the car. Like a 17-year-old kid scaled one of these things in the Dolomites when we were driving in here. I was like, Google up the Dolomites. Let's figure out these mountains. And
like what, the late
1800s? In the 1800s, guys scaled it. So I'm thinking, like, what must it be like to be on the top of your skill set? See, and I sort of, in my position, who am good at nothing, I admire those people. Like, what must it be like? Or these Olympic quality skiers, swimmers, gymnasts. It's like, wow, it must be such a refined, high level, peak performance existence. If I could only do that. But these are what, the 15th chapter describes as like these thin twigs with extended branches, like the heavenly planets, like high level music, high level skill set, etc. It's still not divine. Because you meet sometimes these people and they could be insane. They could be incredibly arrogant. They could be grotesque in their behavior. It doesn't mean they've connected with God. And that's where I find like there's some incongruency here with this. It's a false hope to divinity, this perfection on earth. Whereas you see someone like Ananta who actually takes this, and part of the job of learning kirtan and perfecting kirtan in one sense has nothing to do with the skill. It's got to all to do with the refined intention, and sort of where you were going with that as well. But when I was looking at it and hearing it from Beethoven,
you're disagreeing with Ludwig.
Well, yes, because maybe I don't know Ludwig personally. I don't know where his head or heart was at, but there can be a feeling like I am so freaking great. No one else has done what I've done. The guy was writing symphonies when he's deaf. Come on. It's pretty impressive. He must think I'm pretty damn good. I'm pretty damn good for what I'm doing.
Well, maybe he had an experience where he felt connected to God through it, and
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe.
he may have been fooling
He,
himself.
he may have just been full of himself too. I don't know. When these guys do these solo climbs, and they're doing amazing things, they could be just like, this is so amazing. God is running through my body. I feel fully empowered. I feel like I'm in the flow. Or you could be like, I'm so much better than everyone. I don't know what's going through their head, but it doesn't necessarily lead you to God to be a peak performance athlete, artist, etc.
Yeah, I suppose I was just seeing a call for going deeper. There's a laziness in most of us.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know that laziness well.
Okay. And so I saw that as a call to just don't exist on the surface. Anything, any great art, or you could say the art of practicing bhakti if you want, right? It's worth saying I must go deeper. I must go deeper. That's just anyway. Let's see where this goes in today's reading, because today we're going to be traveling. What we've been doing in this chapter is we're traveling throughout the universe. This is the 19th chapter of the 5th canto, and we're hearing from different people that live in different areas of the universe. But what do they all have in common? They're all offering their prayers to Lord Vishnu. They all have like a leader there, like someone that's like really respected, someone that's like deeply devoted, and we're hearing the prayers of that person. And currently, we're hearing the prayers of Hanuman.
Hanumanji is offering Hanumanji is offering prayers. Let's go. You want to go text 7?
Yeah, just chant your mantras first.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devam saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesh vabhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurim Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Great prayer, isn't it?
Wonderful.
Born in the darkness of ignorance.
Yeah.
Oh, so accurate, man. Do you remember before you read the Bhagavatam, just bumping into walls, lost, making bad choices, make the same bad choice 10 or 12 times?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Born in the darkness of ignorance. Means something to me every time I chant that. All right, we're on text 7. Where are we?
This is a very powerful verse here.
What's the
Text 7.
Canto 5, chapter 19, text 7. One cannot establish a friendship with the Supreme Lord Ramachandra on the basis of material qualities, such as one's birth in an aristocratic family, one's personal beauty, one's eloquence, one's sharp intelligence, or one's superior race or nation.
Okay, this is Hanuman speaking, right?
Yeah.
So everyone picture a monkey speaking this message.
It's not a monkey.
Well, he says he's a monkey in here a little bit later on.
It's not a monkey. It's a special species
Okay.
that looks a little bit like a monkey.
All right, let's continue.
None of these qualifications is actually a prerequisite for friendship with Lord Sri Ramachandra. Otherwise, how is it possible that although we uncivilized inhabitants of the forest have not taken noble births, although we have no physical beauty, and although we cannot speak like gentlemen, Lord Ramachandra has nevertheless accepted us as friends?
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Those are some of the things that people maybe this person from a very wealthy family likes me. I'll let him be a friend. Or this person's very, very beautiful. I'll let them be a friend. Or this one's very, very clever. I'll let them be a friend. Not with Lord Ram. It's got nothing to know. You want to get accepted into Ram's embrace? It's going to take a little bit more than that.
It's saying that Krishna is a connoisseur, right? Or Lord Ramachandra in this case is a connoisseur. He relishes something, right? There's something that he's got a taste for. And he will, and other things he's not interested in. That's what connoisseurs are like. Like you got these cigar aficionados.
Yeah. Epicureans. Mara's an Epicurean fine food, aren't you? She's hard to impress. But she was very impressed with this morning's breakfast, by the way. It was an incredible vegan spread.
Lovely.
She came up to me. She's like, you got to see these vegan cheeses. Oh, my God. She's a vegan cheese connoisseur.
So she would reject lower quality
Vegan cheese.
vegan cheeses. She only wants
Trader Joe's stuff.
She only wants the high quality.
Yes.
So throughout Bhagavatam, it's saying, try to understand this, it's even here, it's saying it's not one sharp intelligence, right? That's going to bring you closer. People, even they be super intelligent, they may not understand, they may have hesitancy to even be able, Prabhupada sometimes said they shudder to think of a life of service to a personal God, right? There are people that shudder to think because of our experiences in this world. We get our disappointments, we get our relationship problems, we get the people that we quote unquote serve, let us down, disappoint us. Sure. And so we're saying the last thing that I want as some kind of eternal existential reality is that there's a person behind all this. I cannot accept this. I will not accept this. But Bhagavatam is trying to part of what it's trying to do is trying to say, understand that it doesn't have to be that way, right? That here at Ramchandra, he's detached. He's detached from everything but one thing. He's very attached on one level, but he's detached from everything else because he's a connoisseur. He only wants the finest. He only wants to relish the fine. What does he want to relish? Pure love. That's it.
This is a verse for me of pure hope. Sometimes I'll get around circles of Vedic pundits. You know what I mean? Circles of Vedic pundits. And they'll be saying something in Sanskrit and breaking down the words, or someone giving a lecture. And I was just like, I will never speak like this person. I'll never, my intelligence is it's like a small cup, like a shot glass.
But you're drinking espresso and
But you ever feel like I will never, I just don't have the ability. I'm one of those guys who can read a page and you ask me what I read, I'll be like, I don't even remember. You just read it. I know I don't. So when I hear this verse, it gives people like myself some hope. I was like, okay, you don't have to be a great pundit. You don't have to be a great scholar. There's hope.
Monkey-like characters.
Even monkey-like characters like myself. There's hope.
Okay, so there's a list of things, and these aren't just random things, but these are things that come up in, say, like religious communities, right? Like who becomes respected in the religious community, right? So it's saying here, you can't connect based on these external things. It's saying, this is Hanuman speaking. He's saying he knows Ram. He knows what Ram responds to, right? And he's feeling gratitude that Ram would respond to his own devotion. So he's saying, he's listing them, right? Material qualities such as one's birth in an aristocratic family. That carries a lot of weight in materialistic circles.
Yeah.
Right?
It carries lots of weight.
We wouldn't know, but
we're not in those circles. We're kept outside those circles by various guards.
That's how we know.
That's how we know we're not welcome in those circles.
One's personal beauty. We wouldn't know about that either.
One's personal beauty. No, that window closed also.
But that carries a lot of weight for sure. Right? You were talking about that just yesterday.
Yeah, we were calling it privilege, beauty privilege. There's people with beauty. They talk about white male privilege. How about beauty privilege? Beautiful people get away with murder practically. There's actually
sometimes they actually do.
Sometimes they actually do, right? No, there's stories of people who murder, but they're beautiful, and they say, "Okay, you can go." You go.
It helps.
It helps. It definitely helps, right?
It does. One's eloquence.
Oh, sure.
Certain people can speak so eloquently they can just kind of talk their way into anything or out of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's certain people. Ever met a person who's a total rascal, but they just can like manipulate words and get themselves out of things and somehow flip it around and blame you.
A lot of times important leaders, it's their eloquence that's like kind of attracting followers. It's not their purity necessarily, but it's their eloquence.
Yeah, we have a friend that's a politician, and he was telling us how politicians, they will never answer the question. They're trained not to answer the question.
Well, the training is to say what you want to say and don't worry about the question.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Does that have something to do with what we were talking about? Yes. Eloquent speaking. Okay.
And he also mentioned sharp intelligence. And he mentioned superior race or superior nation. Like, none of these qualifications is actually a prerequisite for friendship with Lord Sri Ramachandra.
Sure.
Right? For getting close, for developing that relationship. Otherwise, how is it possible? Okay, he accepted us. Right. You want to read the commentary?
Sure. I'll just stretch my neck over. Come on, Mayor, hit that button. You can do it. Drop your knitting. Okay. In a prayer to Krishna expressing her feelings, Kunti Devi called him a Kinchana Gochara. The prefix a means not, and Kinchana, something of this material world. Kinchana, not of this material world. One may be very proud of his prestigious position, material wealth, beauty, education, and so on. But although these are certainly good qualifications in the material dealings, they are not necessary for achieving friendship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who possesses all these material qualities is expected to become a devotee. And when he actually does, the qualities are properly utilized. Those who are puffed up by a high birth, wealth, education, and personal beauty, Janmaishvarya Shruta Shri, unfortunately do not care for developing Krishna consciousness, nor does the Supreme Personality of Godhead care about all these material qualifications. The Supreme Lord is achieved by devotion. Bhaktyamam abhijananti. It's quite amazing, isn't it? When people who are very qualified, then they get attracted to Krishna. It takes a deep, deep type of humility.
We know people like that. I think Prabhupada was saying that it's not an absolute statement, but it's a general statement, right? That's people that have these qualities. He was saying they don't develop devotion. Some do, right? Some do. And they're very special people.
Very special people.
But in general, it tends to drag, it's a weight, drags you down.
Yeah, it's because they have more temptations and more opportunities for Maya.
Yeah, they feel more comfortable in this world. There is happiness in this world. Everything is good. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Everything's perfect. You know what I mean? Sometimes we think, well, I'm not that greedy. Well, maybe you've just never had the good opportunity to become greedy. Maybe you're just like living a miserable poverty existence. Give yourself a chance. Now, don't think you're over greed until you get tempted with something. You know what I mean? And people they look like Tiger Woods. Oh, this guy, what a philanderer, what a sex addict, maybe you just never had the opportunity. The type of women don't get thrown at you like they get thrown at him, right? So it's not like we're over it. Our karma doesn't even allow it. So when people like that do make a huge sacrifice and say, you know what? I'm over all this stuff. Are you
yelling so loud right into the mic? You need a little distance.
Are you sure?
It's going to hurt people's ears.
Okay.
That's why I'm holding.
I hear you.
That's the reason. It's not like
I thought you were taking it away.
It's not like there's a reason for this, right? I got to speak real close.
It's like the carrot on the stick.
You got to keep a little distance.
Pulling me over to the other computer.
Sit on your hands.
You're treating me like a pet.
I'm just caring about.
You're just caring about sonic. I understand sonic concern. My point is this: I can't even remember.
Okay,
there was a good point there, though. Tiger Woods.
Keep.
If we were all right, yeah, we're not over these things necessarily. So that's what I was saying. When a person who has all those opulences and says, "You know what, bhakti, that's my game," that is huge. That is very huge. right?
Yes.
Okay.
Shall you continue?
Yes. Where are we? The Supreme Lord is achieved by devotion, Bhakti Imam Abhijananti. One's devotion and sincere desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the only qualifications.
Okay. Let's focus on these next two sentences. That one and the next. Read that one. Read it slow. Let's hear it. Let's let it sink in.
Rupa Goswami.
Just read.
Okay. One's devotion and sincere desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the only qualifications.
The only, right?
One's devotion and one's sincere desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's it. Rupa Goswami has also said that the price for achieving God's favor is simply one's sincere eagerness to have it. I said that in class yesterday, didn't I? I said that.
Excellent.
Right? And at the right in Italy.
I don't remember, but if you're
at our closing,
you're talking about eagerness.
Yeah, I said to get Krishna's mercy, all you got to do is want it.
Yeah, we want other things.
Yeah.
To me, this was speaking to the Ludwig van Beethoven thing, where he's saying, you have to be eager to go deeper. You have to really want it. Our problem is that we want so many other things. It's a matter of just letting go of those things. And we really need to be inspired. Generally, it happens by seeing it in another person. With Bhakti Yoga, right? It's very much like a heart-to-heart transfer kind of thing. It's not something that's simply achieved through reading books, but generally there's another Vaishnava, another Bhakti Yogi, and their life inspires you. And because you're so inspired and you feel a sense of humility in their presence, you're like, you know what, even if I do have wealth, even if I do have personal beauty, even if I do have whatever material qualifications, I know it. Those aren't the qualifications to have what that person has. And when that person sees that you've kind of like understood that deep within, then they can fill your cup, right? You empty your cup of all of those false ideas of what will bring you deeper spiritually, what will connect you more deeper. And now you're open. Now you can actually begin to understand these secrets, right? These secrets, what it really means to love, what it really means to love God. It's something it's something protected. It's something secret. It's something that's not given to everyone, but you have to really, really, really want it. Our only is not that we're lacking anything else. We're just lacking the intense desire that I don't want anything else but this,
I think I was thinking about like people we know that they're the haves of this world, but they started practicing bhakti. And so they practice bhakti, maybe even for some trite reason, like I like prasad or I like festivals. But as they've been applying bhakti over the years, all the things that were valuable start to become unvaluable. Like, big deal. I got some gold. Big deal. I get to travel over the world. Big deal. I get to do this. I have so much opportunity. Big deal. It's all, after a while, it's just like big deal, big deal, big deal, big deal. And then you're getting older. And also, as you've been cultivating detachment and wisdom as you get older, you could imagine if you're not cultivating detachment and wisdom, as you get older, you're frustrated. Like, I can't enjoy, I can't eat as much. I'm looking for younger people to give me validation. That becomes incredibly frustrating as you're getting older. But if you've been practicing detachment, if you've been practicing, applying spiritual wisdom to your life, as you get older, you're less gripped by the mode of passion. You're not so inspired by all these things. And all you actually want is you're left with the only valuable thing, the same thing you had the whole time, but all those other things, you ranked them higher. And now those things you realize, big deal about them. And you're just left with that one precious thing, Krishna. And that's what we witness in friends that we have who have been practicing bhakti, who are like the haves. You see their life is getting more and more refined. And Krishna, you realize this is the jewel I've always had. All this other stuff actually meant nothing. I sort of philosophically got it. Yeah, it's not important. But actually, I leaned into it a little bit. I took shelter of it a little bit. But now I'm realizing Krishna is my only jewel.
When you meet a person that's really there, that's a rare person. right? It's a rare person that's that determined, that's not distracted by other things, and that has experienced those secrets. You know, recently, I think it was like last week or so, it was the Tirobhav of Indra Prabhu about a week ago. So he was one of those people, you know, as far as I could see. You know, he was we've spoken about him on the show before, but you know, here was a person that kind of dropped it. And you know, the lifestyle that I'm about to describe is not also is not a prerequisite, because you could have also mentioned austerity or renunciation, you know, of things on that list that aren't the qualifications. But he did live that austere life. He kind of walked away from life in the Western world.
Yeah. He's got the classic sadhu.
Yeah.
You know, he's a sadhu. He's given up everything. He lives in a cement room in the Gurukul, and he, you know, sings for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. He
was at least.
I mean, he would wake up, he would chant intensely. He would go into the temple. He would dress Radha and Krishna in the temple very beautifully, you know, come out, do more kirtan. You know, the entire day, you know, like reading the sacred texts about Radha and Krishna and their Leela. Could you say that there was anything that he wanted? Could you point to any evidence that there was anything except for pure bhakti that he wanted in his heart?
From what I know, no. Did I ever tell you this? You want to hear a really interesting Ayendra squirrel?
Yes.
Okay, this is like no one knows this unless I mentioned it on the show once before. When that second Ayendra cassette came out, what was it called? Chintamani Nam? Was that the first one? Or was that the first one? When the second one came out, Vrindavan Mellows, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. I'm going to get him a record deal. Because this
is when you click into your Hollywood agent thing.
And I was like, well, because at that time, that was like 1991 or something like that. And world music was the thing back then. And this is true story for hardcore fans out there. Lyle Preslar from Minor Threat, which is probably the most famous hardcore punk band of all time. He became the president of Caroline Records. And I knew him. And so I pitched him the Ayendra cassette. I said, this is the most organic, grassroots. You like world music? This is the best world music out there right now. I highly recommend it. Ayendra gave me permission to do it. And
I've never heard this story before.
It's an interesting story, isn't it?
So far.
Well, that's it. That's where that's the story. He didn't bite. He didn't bite. He didn't bite. But I gave him a cassette. He might have liked it. I don't know.
But you didn't respond.
He didn't respond.
You maybe needed to follow up.
I should have maybe followed up. I don't like to be too pushy in my approach.
All right.
Isn't that an interesting story, though?
It was very interesting.
I really thought, I was like, you know what? Ayendra could be the next, you know, Ayandra's huge, but in the most organic way possible. I was like, he's going right to the top of the charts. That's what I was thinking. That's where I thought it was going.
In any case, even though he didn't, because you didn't follow up.
Because you didn't take your service seriously, rocking off. Well, his fame is spread throughout the three worlds.
Well, this is kind of where I was going. He was unique in the sense that he didn't travel around the world. Mostly musicians, they go on tours and they travel to kind of increase their fame and their influence. He sat in one place, you know.
Interesting point.
Yeah.
He didn't go on tour.
He sat in one place, and he didn't advertise. He just said, "I'm going to sit in the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan." You know, some relatively, at least from a material point of view, obscure area. Sat there, did his kirtan with such devotion and intensity, with a kind of like ruthless determination, right? Not to be corrupted in any way, not to be corrupted by fame, not to be corrupted by money, not to be corrupted by prestige. I'm going to sit right here, practically dressed in rags, and just chant this name purely. Try to set the example, chant this name purely, and simply by that one pointed focus, he began to influence people all around the world. And to this day, his influence increases.
It actually is one of those,
Even though he passed away a decade or so.
and it was sometimes when people stop, pass away, or the band breaks up, the band gets bigger, or the person it's like that. I thought, wow, it's over. That era is over. It didn't. It got big. It drew people to Vrindavan. More and more people started coming to Vrindavan, right? And it was all done with this like DIY punk rock ethos, because he brought me to his room and he showed me how he was recording these.
Recorded in the room.
He
right?
recorded in the room,
It's like in his bedroom.
with a 4-track, with like a cassette 4-track, right? Amala, right? Cassette 4-track. Amala Harinam's here, another kirtan hero of mine.
I say Amla has to play Andre in the film someday. I think he would be perfect.
Yes.
He could do it.
He could do it for sure. Anyway, let's continue on. Did we make a point, or
Well, no, the point is that it requires nothing but your eagerness. It requires nothing but your one pointed focus. You have to, we all have to do this as bhakti yogis. That's really where I'm driving the whole thing, and the whole Beethoven thing. You know, like, we can't be satisfied just practicing this as an ordinary hobby or something like that, or just as a religion. But all of these great teachers of this are pointing us to this idea that you have to get to the point. And and again, it's not that you have to leave your family or leave your job or whatever, but you have to develop the intense desire. And that will. Is that funny?
I got a funny story in that.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so check this out. So when I first got married, my wife had 2 little boys, and I didn't know anything about being a dad. And so and we immediately moved to Watsika, which, if you don't know, is the block in Los Angeles where all the Hare Krishnas live. Watsika Avenue in Culver City. And so that means all the apartment buildings on the entire street are filled with Hare Krishnas. So you walk out the door, everyone's chanting Hare Krishna. There might be a Prabhupada festival that day. It's like the people that you meet when you're walking down the street. They're all devotees. So, and back then the temple restaurant was $6 for all you can eat. And it was great. It was like a full salad bar.
With the cliffhanger.
Okay, well, where do we last leave off, people?
You're eating there 3 meals a day because it was $6.
Sure. And so I have these 2 little kids that I don't know how to father. All I know how to do is read the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. So we started learning shlokas. Before school, I'd take them to greet the deities. And, the older kid, who was like 7, he'd just be like, I'm having breakfast with the brahmacharis. And he'd go down to the brahmacharis, come back with like lasagna and cake. So they'd have because that's what brahmacharis eat for breakfast. And then then we take them to school and then come back. And then we'd have evening artik, which is very, very beautiful because it's very unofficial. People just go in there. Kids are running around. Then, of course, there's the Sunday feast, an occasional holiday. So the kid's father, my ex-wife's ex-husband, was like, where do you guys live now? I heard you guys lived somewhere in Culver City. I said, yeah, over on Watsika. And he's like,
Watsika.
Look like a regular Hare Krishna. So, and I was like a yoga teacher. So he just thought it was some yoga guy. And he was like, Watsika, that's near that Hare Krishna community. I was like, yeah, it's right near there. It's right around there. It's right around there. And he goes, you ever go to that Hare Krishna temple? I was like, yeah.
Occasion.
And he's like,
3 occasions per day.
You take the kids there? I was like, the kids I renamed. The kids. And I was like, yeah, we go there. And he goes, how often would you say you'd go to the Hare Krishna temple? And I was like, let's see, there's 2 times for 2 meals a day. Then there's the evening artik, the morning artik, times 7. I can't say 28 times. That's going to sound crazy. I was like, I don't know, a couple times a week. He's like, a couple times a week? 28 times a week. So my point is, it's not like for an hour. It's not an hour on Sunday. It's an all-in thing. Krishna doesn't want some money put in the basket when they come around in church. Krishna wants every waking moment of your life to be absorbed in him, and he will reciprocate with that millionfold. You'll be in the spiritual world. He doesn't want you to just like check into the spiritual world. You're a spiritual being.
You know, that might, I'd imagine to a lot of ears. You all right?
Crazy. People don't get it. Religion is something completely separate than life.
That I was, as you were speaking, I was thinking to a lot of ears, even to our listeners, that may just sound like an impossibility, like 24 hours a day, like but we find this repeatedly said, right? Prabhupada would say like that, Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. But we just need to understand how it works, right? Like the art of how it works. It's not that you have to change really anything external, but you have to begin to see everything that's currently external as connected. And if you can see, you know, like when you wake up and you look outside and you see the sunrise and you think that's Krishna, you know, when you walk, when you're engaging with people throughout your day, you know, let's say you work in a shop, you know, people come in. Some days people are buying lots of stuff. Some days people aren't buying a lot of stuff. Person of materialistic conscious gets their mind caught up in the whole thing. They go into anxiety or they go into some kind of celebration because of how the external things are moving. But the person that's got this consciousness, this bhakti awareness, they're just thinking like, I'm accepting the way that God is making this move. You know, I'm accepting that God is in the heart of every one of these people. You know, it's kind of like you're living the exact same life externally. You're feeling it and seeing it from through a different lens. And through that, you're feeling connected to God at every moment, 24 hours a day. That's where we're aiming, right?
Krishna is encroaching on our consciousness more and more. He's moving in, and he's part of everything that you do. The more you invite him in a little, the more he starts to take over the consciousness. Encroachment, yes. The transcendental encroach. It's a wonderful encroachment.
Let's get encroached.
Yeah, Mara, can you encroach us with some takeaways, please? Because was there anything good there today?
Yeah, I got a lot of good stuff today, actually.
These are called takeaways. If you're new to the show, these are little things like from the show, like Mara sits there and takes notes. It looks like she doesn't. It looks like she's just knitting. No. She's multitasking there. She's writing things down, knitting a little, writing more down. So we have something to walk away with. Yeah. Please, Mara.
Got a lot of stuff today. Don't compare your issues to someone else's highlight reel.
Ooh, like that.
Fill your cup with joyful association.
Yeah.
Duplicity is a recipe for disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Be determined and eager to find the deeper secrets of bhakti.
The deeper secrets.
There are no material prerequisites for friendship with Lord Ram.
Yeah.
Devotion and sincere desire to serve are the only qualifications. Krishna wants every waking moment.
Ooh. It's encroaching.
Krishna is encroaching our consciousness.
And
there's hope for monkey-like characters.
Thanks. Thanks for that. Thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks to our little live crew. Say hello, live. Oh, yes. The Austrian party has just begun. The secret society of Vaishnavas. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for live. Join us. Thanks for the Zoomers for keeping up with our crazy schedule. And thanks for those transcendental others out there that we don't even know where you are or where you're listening from. We're meeting some actually today. We are back tomorrow. Same. We're going to be on track for the next few days. 6 a.m. Eastern time, 12 o'clock noon Euro time. And we're going to have more adventures for you today because we have a whole day of stand-up paddle wrestling with my 9-year-old. Wrestling Miko Stu. We're going to wrestle in the stand-up paddle. Yes. Lather each other up in ghee and wrestle on that.
Why does it go?
Why not? Just so I can see a reaction. Oh. Any other announcements, Ms. Mara? Thanks, everybody. Beautiful to see everybody checking in. It is a magical day for a magical day. Let the magic continue to flow. Howdy-bo!